Dr. Watson. How are you, Dr. Watson?
Can you hear? Hello?
Dr. Watson, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay.
It's bright and early there, right, Dr. Watson? Or at least bright. So you will need to shift to your left slightly, I think. So our students will work onto screen, okay?
At MDIS, there are many pathways for you to choose from. Find out more about GCE, O and A levels with Cambridge IGCSE preparatory courses at MDIS College, as well as the MDIS Diploma. Globally recognized bachelor's, master's and doctorate degrees with MDIS and our renowned university partners. Our partner UK universities include Bangor University, Edinburgh Napier University, Teesside University, University of Portsmouth, University of Plymouth, Northumbria University, Leeds Beckett University, and University of Sunderland. Speaking of which, we have Dr. Derek Watson, Associate Professor in Cultural Management from the University of Sunderland, together with Mr. Ignatius Teo and Mr. Isaac Joshua, kicking off our postgraduate dialogue, why 2020 is the best year to study your postgraduate qualification.
Thank you, Jerome. Hello, Dr. Watson. All the way from Singapore.
Yes,
Dr.
I'm
Watson.
going to say something in Malaysian. Selamat tiga hari. Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Or good afternoon to you.
Dr. Watson looking very smart. Absolutely smart. Okay, Mr. Isaac, I think we have an hour session where we'll be talking about postgraduate, some of our postgraduate programs, but most definitely we will be hearing from Dr. Watson, who is with the University of Sunderland, where we have had our partnership and are continuing to have a partnership of up to 16 years already and counting. So we will have Dr. Watson do some sharing with all of you as to why at this current point in time it is still very, very relevant to be taking an educational program. Isaac?
Welcome on board, Dr. Watson. All over to you.
Yes, good afternoon or good morning from the United Kingdom.
I'm from Singapore.
Okay, Dr. Watson, this segment is yours. I know that you have a lot of thoughts regarding starting an educational program, even amidst this pandemic that all of us is facing. So we'll hand the time over to you.
Yes, thank you.
Are we having some technical challenges?
As we iron all of that out, we'll take the chance to introduce, our guests. We have our current student, Nazim, and she's with the School of Tourism and Hospitality. And we have an alumnus of ours, and he is Mr. Vishal. He took our MBA program with the University of Sunderland. So they are here with us today to also very candidly do some sharing from their point of view as a student when they spent their time at MDIS taking their programs. And of course, Nazim has more current inputs as she's our student now with your program.
Yes. So Nazim actually hails from Central Asia. She spent some time in Switzerland. And she decided to move here to Singapore, being one of the top tourism cities in the world, to pursue a postgrad in hospitality and tourism. And yes, you will be hearing a lot from her later about her current learning experience in here.
And Vishal, you know what? There's nothing like hearing from Vishal himself. Okay, he has a very interesting background. So Vishal, please just share with us what are you currently doing in Singapore, and really how did you end up in Singapore?
Okay, all right.
So,
yes, Ignatius.
Thanks.
Okay, we have Dr. Watson back. Hold those thoughts. We'll come back to you for sure. Dr. Watson, you hear us?
Yes, loud and clear.
Fantastic. The time is yours, Dr. Watson.
Right. Thank you. And it is a pleasure to present with MDIS today. So if you ask your parents how time flies, they will say very quickly indeed. So it's important that we identify our career projection. What do we want to do with our lives? Because ambitions and goals without a plan, and a plan is very important, are just wishes. So what we need to do, we need to think about how can we create a career with progression? And one of that is we need to look at our shelf life. The next slide, please. So with the shelf life, what I mean by this is no matter what qualification you have, it will have a shelf life because you are competing with fellow students and people in the commercial environment. So really, it's very important that you think about what is your next step with your educational qualification. And MDIS and Sunderland have a very close relationship. We are as one, and we would strongly recommend that you give serious thought to our postgraduate programs within that. However, COVID-19. We are in a pandemic, and unfortunately the UK is currently going through their second wave, and I understand Singapore is also experiencing the challenges of COVID-19. However, this is an ideal time to say, right, it's very difficult to get a job at the moment. It is very challenging with our lives. So what we find is a lot of students around the world are taking this opportunity, the COVID dilemma, to actually embark on a postgraduate degree program. However, there are lots of challenges. It's not an easy decision to embark on a degree program. I tell my students you have taken the most difficult decision, because the easiest decision is try to get a job. but that will just be a job. If you want a career with progression, you need to embark on qualifications such as the postgraduate suite of qualifications at MDIS delivered via the Sunderland campus. But in seeing that it's challenging, it is highly rewarding, because the MDIS postgraduate is literally a passport. And what I mean by a passport is MDIS has a very good name across the world, not just in Singapore, and that is one of the reasons why the University of Sunderland wanted to work very closely with MDIS. But getting a postgraduate qualification at MDIS is a ticket, not just in Singapore and the Asian countries, but it is a global attraction. You will be able to take your MDIS qualification anywhere in the world and stand proud in a job interview, which hopefully you will secure. And we will certainly help you get there, and we'll talk about that later in the presentation. However, if we look at branding,
I would like to just maybe take this chance to add on to the fact that MDIS plays a very big role in offering the University of Sunderland programs here. And just to let everyone understand, you could regard MDIS as an extension of the programs offered out of the UK by University of Sunderland. And why I say that is because a lot of planning goes into ensuring the quality excellence in the delivering of the academics when it comes to a University of Sunderland program. How we do that is really through ensuring that our faculty is approved by our partner, University of Sunderland. That's one. The Ministry of Education, by way of the Council of Private Education, also ensures that. And so what you will experience as a student when you sign up with a University of Sunderland program is that you will be getting the same academic excellence as if you were to be studying in the UK at Sunderland. Okay, so I thought I'd just like to share that point, because ultimately when we take a program, it is all about the learning and the lecturers that you will learn from, and the lecturers will be guiding you. So you can rest assured that that is always ensured. Dr. Watson, over and back to you, but maybe if you could just reinforce on that point that I just mentioned. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, I started off the presentation talking about our close relationship. However, this relationship is built on quality assurance. When we talk about branding, it is very important that we maintain our brand image. And that's why MDIS and Sunderland were very selective in developing that relationship. So students who embark on your postgraduate degree programs really get the benefit of two institutes, MDIS and the University of Sunderland. And with that, it brings a lot to the table with regards to strength of branding. And organizations, commercial organizations, will appreciate this. This is something different to other qualifications. But I understand that Isaac was going to talk a little bit about the Singapore campus on the specific learning.
Yes, that's right, Dr. Watson. So, well, aligned to what you have said about our partnership, I also like to highlight the facilities that we have over here for our international learners. I mean, the first thing is the facilities that we have within the campus to actually aid their learning journey. Things like the practical restaurant, the fashion workshop. We even have the School of Media and Communication, who have their own recording studio. So I think that's one of the first advantage we should highlight for our international learners who will be joining us. Next, which is also another added advantage for our learners is also the synergy that they derive by all the other schools within this campus. I mean, we are a couple of hectares huge. We have all the other various schools here like IT, fashion, and so on. So there's so much of synergy for our learners to gain from each other.
Yes. Thank you. Next slide. There we have. If we just go back to the... Yes, there. So, yes. So what we've just heard, if we get to the Apple slide, what we've just heard there is that learning at MDIS with Sunderland isn't just in the classroom. You have a highly dynamic opportunity to learn outside the classroom with state-of-the-art facilities at MDIS, and also being able to use the resources at the University of Sunderland. So you can tap into two learning environments, MDIS and the University of Sunderland. Next slide. So really, I passionately believe that in selecting MDIS, you are selecting a course, an institute, a learning environment way different to many other competitors. And this will give you a unique selling point. What I mean by unique selling point is when you go for a job interview, you will have something different, not just the paper qualification. You'll be able to bring something different to the table from your learning experience. It isn't just about knowledge acquisition. It's about learning who you are and where you want to get to, i.e. that previous slide about your plan. And we will coach you. We will support you with that. Next slide. And it does bring a lot of attraction, a lot of glamour, a lot of appeal. And this reinforces the MDIS university relationship. And I guess it's more than a relationship. We work as colleagues and friends between our institutes. And what I say to students at Sunderland and at MDIS, we are as one. We are a family. And this has helped nurture a unique culture within the organisation. However, embarking on a postgraduate degree, next slide, embarking on a postgraduate degree, you want to enrol on a course that on day one, when you're maybe a little bit unsure, that this course has a clear route map from start to finish. MDIS has significant support systems within its curriculum, not just academics, but outside the classroom with regards to careers and sports activities, which you've just heard, and exposure into use of technology. So it's applying technology to your curriculum. But looking at the curriculum, University of Sunderland and MDIS offer curriculums that are not static. They grow. They keep pace with the commercial challenges in the world today. So if you were to go to MDIS on Monday morning, you'd be talking about key themes that are mentioned in the news, in the tabloids, and it's this currency that will give you the confidence to appreciate the world is almost like what we call the world casino. What happens in the UK has an effect in Singapore. And likewise, what happens in Singapore has a domino effect around the world, particularly with innovation. However, I would like to bring Ignatius in on the next slide with regards to the academics.
Thank you, Dr. Watson. Indeed, I think if I could just latch on to your point about the curriculum that our students go through, it is very rigorous. It is definitely very current, and for the postgraduate programs that we have with University of Sunderland, I can tell you the modules are also very useful for your careers. You know, our student and alumni has been waiting here very patiently. Okay, so I'm going to bring them in. We have Vishal here, who is an alumnus of the Sunderland MBA program. He graduated 2 years ago. got a job, doing very well, and I'm going to just give him the airtime now to share, maybe Vishal, about how the curriculum that you went through has helped.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, yeah, I think when I started on the journey of doing this postgraduate course, at that time I was very skeptical, primarily because I was a postgraduate student and I was doing it on a part-time basis. And as you can understand, coming back to university and going through the academics again, it was a little bit challenging with your family and other commitments. So I was a lot skeptical initially, but as I embarked on the journey and go through the different modules, it basically gave me a different perspective of how things work. Right? So when I learned business, things like how the value chain works, how does the customers perceive certain things that we go out in the market. So it basically changed my perspective of how things work and gave me a little bit more clarity into progressing into my career and how I apply those learnings into my job, into my roles. So it was a great experience, great networking that I did with my friends, my colleagues, and obviously with all the learnings from the different professors and the modules. It gave me a lot of, I would say, a lot of material to actually go out in the world and apply that.
Mr. Isaac, I'm sure Nazim also has some other points to add. Nazim being our current student in your Master of Science program.
Yes. So Nazim joined us last year, and I think it would be great for her to share her experience within MDIS.
Thank you for having me here. Yes, I definitely have something to share because I have something to compare to due to my bachelor's degree that I received in Switzerland. So basically, comparing to say educational courses that I'm receiving, is that at MDIS it is more comprehensive, but at the same time the classes are spread out in the way that we're able to absorb the knowledge that we're getting. And I can definitely say that all the works that I'm writing for the submission, I can definitely use sometime in the future once, let's say, I would like to open my own business one day.
Thank you, Nazim. Back to you, Dr. Watson.
Yes, there's nothing better than hearing commentary or narratives from current and former students. And what I like is they were both smiling, which is always a good indication that they enjoyed their curriculum. But on a possibly more serious point, a lot of parents out there will be thinking about the value for money. It's an investment. And what I can assure the parents out there listening in is that it's not just about the teaching. It's about students coming to MDIS and learning about who they are and what they want to achieve. And one of the students did say they found the course rigorous, challenging, but also what I do know, they will also say, and they possibly nod their heads, that they found it enjoyable. Challenging at the beginning, learning how things go, but we've got the support systems, but finding that they're in control. The lessons are paced at an adequate level. But turning to the University of Sunderland, we have a program leader by the name of Karen Morton. She is in charge of the MBA program, and she has a very close relationship with Ignatius and the team in Singapore. But with the academic team, this goes back to the quality assurance. We academics who have the knowledge. If we can go back to yes, we don't just recruit academics who have qualifications. We recruit academics who have commercial experience. If you could just go back to the previous slide. We recruit academics with commercial experience. So when students come into the classroom, the tutor isn't relying on textbooks, case studies. They are very much using their past experience and current experience, because what we pride ourselves in the relationship with MDIS is that our academics are actively involved in consultancy. So students will also get an opportunity. And we also like to see academics who start working at MDIS and at the university, but progress with additional qualifications, but also networking with businesses. And it's bringing that live business experience into the classroom. So when students go for a job interview, they use commercial terminology. They speak different to other students. And the interview panel doesn't see a student, they see a potential executive. Next slide. Yes. So it's about knowledge acquisition. And what we do is between the idea and reality falls the shadow. So at MDIS and the University of Sunderland, we reduce this shadow by bringing in live case studies. And modules are not taught in isolation. There's a rich tapestry within all programs whereby each module connects or links with the other modules. So students appreciate that, for example, marketing or management isn't in isolation. It's connected with other very important activities in an organization, such as logistics, legal, operations management, and so on. Next slide. Very importantly, what we'll do with your induction program, and we have a very thorough induction program supported by the University of Sunderland and MDIS, we will create a culture in which you don't study as individuals, you do not study as a group, whereby you have the strongest at the top, weakest at the bottom. We create, and we pride ourselves, we create a team dynamic. You learn to work as a team, self-supporting, and this will be monitored by your tutors, but you will grow from this, because when you go into the world of work, rarely do you work independently. It's part of a team effort. Next slide. And career opportunities. Isaac, did you want to say something about career opportunities?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Watson. So over here in the School of Tourism and Hospitality, and of course, similarly to School of Business, there are various alternatives we provide or we train in terms of their career opportunities. So we've got the tourism sector, hospitality sector, as well as the events sector. And we bring in lots of our partners here to promote the various opportunities out there, the ways to develop themselves, and what exactly the employers are looking for in our graduates. So the synergy with the industry allows us to do this and to prepare them accordingly for the industry out there.
Yeah.
If I could add on, Dr. Watson and Mr. Isaac, is that, you know, with our Sunderland graduates, we are very proud to say that 80% of them, upon graduation, get a job within 6 months, which is the time frame whereby we measure the time and the opportunities in picking up a job. And this is a metric that is used by all universities to measure employability. I think what is also interesting is that the other 20% go on to use their skills and knowledge in starting their own business and to become an entrepreneur. At this point,
yes,
just on that note, I would like to bring in Vishal. Vishal came here to Singapore from India, something like, I would say, 13 years ago. And he has settled here and is able to use his certification from the program that he got with University of Sunderland and MDIS to further his career. So Vishal, would you like to share about your career journey and maybe give us some tips and to our viewers about how you can land that dream job?
Absolutely. So as you mentioned that I came to Singapore about 13 years ago. Initially started with the financial sector, moving into consultation and into IT solutions, high-tech solutions like business intelligence, machine learning and stuff. So before joining this course, I was obviously an individual contributor. I had aspirations to go into management, and every time I seeked towards going towards there, I was always, I was skeptical whether I can actually do it. Plus, the people who were interviewing me, they were skeptical whether he can do it. So the MBA course did provide me with the confidence to go and sit in front of a panel to tell them and to convince them that yes, he's the right person to go ahead and lead our business. And that really gave me the confidence, as well as the confidence in the interviewers. When I spoke with them, I was very confident. The answers they wanted to know from a leader, from a business professional, I knew them already after I went through the course. So it really helped them crack the next ladder in my career and go into the management. So right now I basically manage the Asia Pacific business for my organization. Which I believe would have been possible without this course. So it was great.
Wonderful, Vishal. I do know also a lot of participants today are wondering, how do you get a job in Singapore? I mean, that's why we take educational programs. We want to better ourselves. We want to get a job. We want to advance our careers. You have some tips for us?
Yeah, I think one of the key things is, obviously you need to have a very good education, and that's why I went through this course. It was great experience, it was great knowledge. At the same time, I think what the interviewers really look into you is your confidence rather than your skill set as such, right, in terms of the experience. So if you are confident, if you show that you have the time management skills, you have what it takes, you have the culture that they're looking for, you can basically crack any interview that you want to. So, and I think to some extent, I think the course, when we go through the course, we do different kind of learnings, not just the academics, but how to do the teamwork, how to be a leader, how to innovate. So I think those things kind of reflect in your answers, and when you go out to the market and speak with the recruiters or the interviewers, it really makes that difference. So, yeah.
Sure. I think if I could just add on that, from the very get-go, when our students join our programs, we get them ready for the world of work. And we give them those opportunities by having networking sessions with the industry, so that our students can get their CVs in there early and really get in touch with industry professionals who are always looking out for new talent. I think it's likewise with your school, Mr. Isaac.
Yes, that's right. So that's an initiative we create in the form of a quarterly industry reception. And yes, and that's something I'm going to go into deeper as Dr. Watson proceeds with his presentation.
Very informative. So yes, when you embark on a curriculum at MDIS in the University of Sunderland, you will certainly have, you've just heard, a memorable experience. And a curriculum with progression and assessments that are linked to organisations. So you'll be working on live case studies. And just what Ignatius has said and the team have said, from day one, we will focus on employability, getting you ready for that ultimate job interview, which you will feel very confident within that. And we've just heard, yes, your students are saying it's very rewarding. Next slide. So when you start at MDIS, you might think the course is going to last a very long time. Speak to alumni students. It goes in a blink. However, we have a very thorough induction program. Next slide. And this induction program works because we take students year one, day one, we introduce them to our culture, our learning techniques between the University of Sunderland and MDIS, and with the live assignments, out pops The next slide. Graduates. So this is a real photograph. We've taken students at the beginning of the course. They've gone through the program, and look at the difference between day one to the exit date. Next slide. So what we say at the University of Sunderland and MDIS is our qualifications are life-changing. We have a very high conversion rate of students who, before they go to graduation, having been told their classification, have been offered a job within that. The 20% that may not get that job at the beginning go on for further development or a doctoral route or want to work part-time. But the style of teaching that we have, it isn't the teacher knows best. We will use your experiences in the classroom. We will have a rich learning culture within that. Now, to do that, the next slide. We have a dynamic team between MDIS and the University of Sunderland, and we work very closely. We speak to each other on a daily basis, and we're also doing what I'm doing now, Skyping in or Zooming in to your classroom. So you don't just get the MDIS tutors, you get the University of Sunderland tutors from our London, Sunderland and our Hong Kong campus. So when you embark on the program, you're getting a lot of resources and a lot of expertise, but we will work with you because you'll help make those programs very rich. Next slide. Next slide, yes. However, we appreciate that you can't just learn by yourself. So in addition to the academics at MDIS, Sunderland University will work with MDIS, and we will make sure that we provide sufficient support so you feel comfortable, not complacent, but comfortable to embark on the assignments in your groups, in your teams, and then use that confidence to test the opportunities that the master's program will bring into the classroom. For example, work opportunities, part-time work, live case studies, and all this can go on your resume. And this is what differentiates our program from other competitors. Next slide. As both students have just said, they had an enjoyable time at MDIS. If it's not enjoyable, if it's not fun, you're not going to learn. So we're very much in tune with, yes, we have to understand the theory, but it's this practical application. Next slide. Muhammad Ali, some of you may recognize, world's greatest sports person, the boxer. But Muhammad Ali once said, to be a leader, you have to believe that you are a leader. And this is what we embed in our learning culture at MDIS. Next slide. But it's what I tell my students. You've got to work hard, yin and yang, you've got to work hard, but more so, you've got to enjoy yourself. And I dare say it, party hard. But it's having that happy balance, because you've got, as you're going through MDIS postgraduate qualifications, you're learning about yourself. And you can't just do that from reading a book. You need to network and socialize. Next slide. Be realistic. Day one, with our induction programs, we will educate you that you're not embarking on a special forces course, highly demanding. Our educational programs will be incrementally fed to you with the support system. Next slide. Never say the fail word. I guarantee you now and reassure parents, if students embark on the MDIS program, go to class, interact with their tutors and fellow students, and hook up with the university opportunities in Sunderland, UK, you will pass. Next slide. As was mentioned, it is a family affair. You can't just do your studies by yourself. You need to share your experiences. It is truly a family commitment. And this is why we pride ourselves in nurturing a family culture between the University of Sunderland and MDIS. Next slide. But it's about relationship building, getting to know your personalities of your tutors. and they will get to know your personalities. And it's a relationship which will be forged long after you graduate. Next slide. However, throughout your program, I will guarantee you will need help at least twice. And we have the support systems, and we monitor the support systems. So you'll have a class representative. We'll talk to you formally and informally to make sure that you feel as though that you are getting value for money, and you feel as though that your voice is being heard. Next slide. But you'll have to do your studying. You will have to dig deep. But you won't do this by yourself. You'll do this as a team. So here's some techniques. Next slide. Day one, set yourself a schedule. Next slide. The slide previous. Yes. So in green, I've populated that schedule with your classes. Friday evening and Saturday evening are red. No student should study Friday or Saturday evening. The red box, the yellow box, you plan your next week. And what you'll see is you'll see lots of white spaces. Now, if you're smart, you'll plan what you're going to be doing. That could be working in a group, it could be studying, it could even be going to the gym or watching a movie. But by doing this, at the end of the week, you can identify how much time you've worked, how much time you've played. That yin and yang process. Next slide. Also be realistic. So if you say you're studying from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m, you think you've done 3 hours. Not the case. Next slide. Because you drift into work and you drift out of work. So realistically, you're doing 1.5 hours out of 3 hours. So work smart. Identify 45-minute bite-sized study periods during the day. And if you do that right, there is no reason why on a weekend you can go and visit friends, you can go and travel. So you've got that work-life balance. Next slide. Yes, group work, very important, because you can't carry your colleagues. What you need to do is, and we'll educate you, we'll support you, you've got to develop the infrastructure whereby group work turns into teamwork. Next slide. We all feel tired at times. We call that procrastination. However, what I tell my students too, and at MDIS, is if you're tired, don't try to study. Go out, go for a run, go to the gym, watch a movie, or possibly get some fresh air, or even go on the internet and watch TED Talks. So if you've got an assignment on strategy, or fashion, or hospitality, type that in and watch a couple of 5, 10, 15-minute YouTube videos, and you'd be amazed how you're enjoying it, but you're also learning at the same time. Next slide. You will need to source journal papers, and this is the benefit of the University of Sunderland and MDIS. The students will be able to access journal papers from the University of Sunderland as well. The academics that will be co-delivering guest speaker sessions on your modules will bring their research into the classroom, or consultancy opportunities in the classroom. So your learning experience is very dynamic within that. Next slide. Having done my PhD, I did lose lots of work. So now I'm converted. Always back up your work within that, and even print off a paper copy. Next slide. So the importance, Ignatius has also mentioned, and Isaacs has mentioned about the importance of network. From day one at MDIS, you will have opportunities. Print off your resume. Always have a paper copy resume. You never know who you're going to meet, where you can network, and you're thinking about access to live assignments and also future employers. And if you're doing a live assignment, always go to the organization and say, could I present my recommendations to you? And this will create impact on your CV. And what you've got to do is assume that you are a tin of beans in a supermarket. What's differentiating you from all the other tins of beans? Now at MDIS, from day one, we focus on employability. And those experiences you can start to populate on your CV or resume, so when you graduate, you have a rich CV full of not just talk, but what you can do and deliver, tangible experience. Next slide. Isaac, did you want to mention anything about employability?
Yes, thanks, Dr. Watson. So yes, over here in School of the Tourism, of course, similarly with School of Business, we have the quarterly industry reception. This is a unique engagement, a platform for all the industry experts to come together to showcase products, talk about services. But the interesting thing is this entire networking reception is organized and managed by the students, and the students at the same time get to network with all the industry professionals coming in. So this is a wonderful opportunity for them, you know, to make friends, to look for employers, to increase their network, or in fact, even to get a mentor, or you know, to get someone to assist their major project or whatever modules that they're working on currently. So basically the whole idea is to get in deep into the industry and, you know, discover the possibilities out there. Not only for Singapore, because most of the industries are globally linked, so there's so much of opportunities for them, you know, not in and out of Singapore. What do you think, Ignatius?
Absolutely. I think at the end of the day, like we have always said, when we take an educational program, it is to prepare ourselves for to be ready for the world of work. But as we know, we all need a leg up. We need that opportunity to be able to start off our careers. And I think that in MDIS, we provide that, certainly at school level, like how Mr. Isaac just described it, but we also do have a career assistance unit that will help each and every student with that connection to the industry. So you can rest assured when you come into MDIS, when you take a University of Sunderland program with us, you know that our MDIS academic quality and exams board will ensure your curriculum is top-notch. You will have constant support from the academic support team in us, okay? And you will have that strong partnership that we have with University of Sunderland that has lasted for 16 years and will continue to last. I think to me that is a winning formula, Mr. Isaac.
It's just to add, Dr. Watson and Ignatius, we have our own career assistant unit here, which is aggressively and continuously looking for partners internally and externally. We do work with our global hospitality and business-related partners and link them to our students as well. Because over here is not about just stopping at graduation. It's about helping them the entire journey in terms of their employment and giving them a chance to make it out there. So I think that's how we work out this and value add this collaboration.
Indeed. Dr. Watson, if you could allow me to just kind of like go back to your points that you covered regarding study skills as a student, because we do know that we have Nazim here, who is our current student. Maybe Nazim, if you could share with us what are some of the points that Dr. Watson brought up that you find interesting and that maybe you subscribe to and could practice even.
Yep, that'd be nice to hear from Nazim.
I like the point about the smart schedule. I believe this is a problem, or I would say an issue that every student goes through, especially when the submissions are coming through. So, well, thankfully for this 12-month course, I was able to learn how to do it finally. Now I have my major projects, which I'll have to submit by November. Yeah, and to be honest, there are also a couple of skills that I picked up while I'm here, especially, let's say, in terms of major project, that would be something like how to use statistical applications like SPSS or, yeah. And this is all also due to the support from our lecturers, so you can definitely text them or ask any questions at any time. They will be able to help you.
Yep. I think the whole point here as well is that we are always learning relevant things. Yep. You know what? I just want to say that you are smiling broadly, just like what Dr. Watson said. I'm sure you are going through the program comfortably, but not complacent. It's so wonderful.
Thank you.
Vishal, maybe you could share with us, because you have a personal experience as well, having gone through the program, succeeded. Okay, do you have your own thoughts regarding preparing yourself as a student when you're doing a postgraduate program?
I think one of the things that Nazim said, right, like the time management is also very, very important, because especially not just for studying, as Doctor said, that you need to find some time to relax and chill out, because you need to re-energize yourself. So time management is obviously one of the key things that I learned and I applied when I was doing my assignments, when I was doing my dissertation. But I think the other key thing was also being very organized. I think you need to be very organized, because you will come across so many different sources, especially doing your dissertation, that you need to know what you need to find where. So organization skills is also something that we need to learn and need to apply while we are going through our assignments in our course.
Okay, what Vishal has mentioned, we will coach students on time management, and we have several workshops when you come in as a student that you are asked to attend, and from those workshops you will pick up skills like time management, how do you write academic papers proficiently, and so forth. So every step of the way you will be guided. So that is our assurance to each and every one of our students. Dr. Watson, back to you.
Sure. Next slide. Yeah, if you move on to the next slide, please. Yeah. So we've just heard some very important points from not just the academics, from the students as well, the former students and current student. We have 16 years of experience of relationship building between the university and MDIS. And what we've talked about is embarking on an MDIS qualification is you don't just get the theory, you get the practice, that live experience or that live student experience. And it's very much focused within career. We will coach you to get that ultimate career. But in that journey, what you will get, you'll get support from your careers office, which will give you opportunities, not just in Singapore and globally, but certainly opportunities to come to the UK. And I'm working with Ignatius, and we're talking about potential, when COVID settles down, potential study trips to the UK. But there will be that close interaction between MDIS academics and University of Sunderland academics, and also students with that connectivity within that. So you'll have career support, you'll have student well-being to make sure that you are progressing competently through your degree, postgraduate degree program, and will also bring in on a regular basis employers. Now, albeit because of COVID-19, this will be virtual, but once COVID-19 settles down, we will then reenact company visits. So students will be able to get out to an organisation. However, our students are currently getting virtual tours of organisations, so it's compensating that. And what I say to students, and I'll get the alumni student and the current student to reflect on this point here. What I get my students to do is to take a photograph of themselves at the beginning of the course, and then a photograph when they graduate at the end of the course. They'll see the physical changes in themselves, but by investing in MDIS and the University of Sunderland, that's nothing compared to the changes that you feel in confidence, growth, understanding how the world of work works, and more so, and more importantly, how you work and what you really want in life. And on that note, I'll turn to the next slide. I would like to see you all at graduation when I get invited back out to Singapore. And I'm open to questions from the panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Watson. We will certainly have you come to Singapore when that opportunity arises. I'm very certain that our students would like to meet you as well. And you know what? We would like to give a very big thanks to yourself, Dr. Watson, for taking the time off all the way from the UK to do this sharing with us on the benefits of a University of Sunderland program. Very big thanks also to our students and alumnus. Thank you very much, Nazim and Vishal. Mr. Isaac?
You're welcome.
And from myself,
Thank you very much.
Ignatius, sure, Dr. Watson, we'd like to say have a very, very good Saturday. We hope that you have found this 1 hour very interesting and useful for you, and we certainly hope to see you at MDIS. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Yes. Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Dr.
Bye.
Watson.